Hey, what's up, y'all? Post-game spread, Blake Helm, back for another one here. This is going to be the Jeremy Nowak Swingman story, part 3. We conclude his story. It's been so amazing. A couple days ago, we had him in here getting down for the last part of his story. And in part 3, we're going to look more into some of his long drive stuff, some cool baseball stuff, some hitting stuff. And I just thought it was a nice way to round out his whole story. And it's all been so beautiful, so fascinating. You know, this guy had an incredible ride through college baseball, went to Stony Brook, was not a good fit there. The coaching staff, thumbs down. And, bet on himself and dropped down to Division II, went to Mount Olive and rewrote the record books there, was arguably the best Division II player in the country that year. Got drafted by the Orioles and had a really fascinating ride with the Orioles too, where, built himself up to a place where it looked like he was a prospect and was an all-star and then got cut the following spring training. And, baseball can be cruel like that sometimes. And it's a true testament to who he is too, that he pivoted and turned that pain into a different kind of passion. And he, built the Swingman empire, and now he's doing the long drive, and he's got, all these brands that are trying to be a part of his thing. And it's just incredible. So it's been so cool getting to know him. I get to call him a friend now. What a cool guy. Probably the most high-level hitting guy that I've had on talking. I mean, I was blown away. And I've had some absolute dudes on here, and I have access to some of the highest level hitting guys in the country because of this podcast. And I was blown away by how Jeremy sees things, his eye for it. It's so incredible. I mean, he said some things that I've never even heard of before or thought of before. And I think of myself as a pretty well-versed hitting guy too. So it's all beautiful. It's all fascinating. This is going to be the Swingman story part 3. You guys are going to love this. I had an absolute ball doing this with him. So enjoy it. Swingman part 3. Here we go. All right, guys, here we go. Before we get into this story, I got to do a little shout out here to all my sponsors. And I am in somewhat of a unique position where I have local sponsors to the Springfield, Illinois, Central Illinois area, as well as national sponsors. I do local stories as well as national stories. So I've done Hall of Famers, and then I do local college guys, and it's all beautiful. So anyway, let's start off with my national sponsors. My first one being Aero Bat of Aero Swing. I absolutely believe in this product. I've got all 3 of their trainers. I was buying their trainers before we were ever a partnership. Use code PGS10 to get 10% off your first order with them. I truly believe this is an incredible tool for priming your nervous system, for increasing bat speed. I wish this was around when I was playing. Love these guys. Next up, Jack's batting gloves. These are the best batting gloves in the game, hands down. I love the way they feel. I wish these were around when I played as well. And then last but not least, Birdman bats, the best maple bats in the game. These things are beautiful too. They're absolutely works of art. So Birdman bats. And then locally, Washco Strength and Speed, Overtime Training Academy, Body Symmetry, Bank of Springfield, Sitco Chiropractic, Glisten Heating and Air, Eric Easley, the Realtor, The Office Sports Bar and Grill, Milner Dentistry, Hammers Radon Mitigation, Cardinal Cleaners, GT Performance Consulting, Safe House, Illinois, Hudson Chiropractic, located in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, the Shamrocks Baseball and Softball Program, Flow Yoga, Hurwitz Enterprises, Salvaggio Steel, and the Kaiser family. We appreciate your support. Enjoy the story.
What's up, man?
Hey, buddy. It's been a little bit. How you been?
Good, dude. Just busy as all heck.
Yep. Chipping away at the summer. Almost over, my man.
I know. My daughter, we have meet the teacher today, this afternoon for kindergarten, and then she starts tomorrow, her first day. So.
Oh, man. How are you feeling as a parent? I shed tears on my daughter's first day of kindergarten, letting her go.
I mean, she did preschool last year, so I mean, we kind of got a little, taste of what it's gonna feel like. Granted, that was just 4 days a week for 4 hours, so these are, gonna be longer days. My wife, she's the one that's feeling all the emotions right now. Yeah,
it's hard, man. How obviously it's been a couple months since we jumped back in, or we did parts 1 and parts 2 of your story. How was like T-ball and all that stuff this summer, man? You put out some cool stuff of your son.
Yeah, no, it was good. He enjoyed it. My daughter,
nice swing on him.
Yeah, he's getting there. He's enjoying it. And then my daughter did coach pitch, so it was It was good. Now when I was there, I was a designated pitcher, so
Yeah.
uh, no, she was able to put some balls in play because they get like 5 swings and they hit off the tee
Yeah.
after if they don't. But she put balls in play off the pitches, which is I was happy. So
Yeah. Love it.
uh,
And then I've been seeing all your stuff too. Like you golf a lot. Is that like are you being hired? Like are you being paid to come out to these golf events and be the guy that hits it 400 yards and has the Nowak step and all that?
um,
How's that work?
so those charity events, a lot of long drivers do that. Actually, is like a
Yeah.
career. I
Right.
I've done a few events in the past. I don't do them now. I don't like doing them. They're so exhausting. But no, I've just been playing more golf in general. I think I have like 20 rounds logged in this year already. I'm
Yeah.
social media wise, I don't know if you follow any golf influencers at all, but the golf influencer space is pretty wild, and there's a lot of money involved. And
Yeah.
I think I have such a unique style. I could switch hit doing golf and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like there's an area I could sneak my way into some of these tournaments. Like the Barstool Sports had like I don't know,
Yeah.
like $1 million or $2 million tournament. I mean, there's some like big money tournaments that are going on.
For
So
sure.
yeah, that's kind of how I've been, motivating
Okay.
myself to get more into golf and trying to get better. So if I do get called to show up to these events, I'm not, you know, not that guy that's making a fool of himself. So mhm.
I follow the Divot Dudes. Are you aware of them?
Okay, yeah, they're
I
fun to
love
watch.
I don't know why. I just love them. Like if I just need something to kind of like unplug to, I just put those guys on. I don't know why. They got a nice way about them. I just enjoy watching them.
I
So,
agree. I feel the same
but
way.
so been a couple months since we jumped back in. I think we've pretty much covered your career mostly, or your career as an actual active player, like in affiliated baseball. You're still playing and doing stuff. But what are some of the coolest things that you've gotten to do as the swingman? And I mean, you gave us a really cool story about Manny. That was all time, and that was seriously one of my favorite stories I've ever heard. That was just, and you could just hear your enthusiasm for it too. Like getting to talk to Manny about his swing, and he was asking you for advice, which is just like, you
Yeah,
probably could have never imagined that happening. But what are some
yeah,
other cool stuff you got to do? Any other like content guys, baseball guys out there you've got to do some cool stuff with? I mean, I've seen it, but I'd love to hear
yeah.
what
I
your
mean,
words are.
like obviously the baseball bat bros, who
Will,
did like the 2 world record attempts,
yeah,
for longest baseball. So going out to like Victor, Colorado, which was like in the
yeah,
middle of nowhere. Yeah, there's like a cool story with that, with like,
let's
because
go.
that was like a haunted town in a sense. So
Yeah,
I actually encountered something there that was like afterwards, I'm like, wait, what the heck just happened? And yeah, and then well, obviously, Will and then Eric Sim as well, like
yeah,
collabing with him a few times and in those videos, as well as going to Momentum and meeting him down in Scottsdale. You know, uh I'm trying to think. I ended up, I don't know. I'm trying to think like, on the golf end, I did get invited to, I don't know if you ever heard of Good Good.
yeah.
Yeah, so Good Good Golf invited me out to an event last year in Chicago where I did a long drive event. Um, I ended up, was it just over 2 years ago? Did a long drive event in South Africa. So I spent 9 days in South Africa traveling around and
Yeah.
doing this cool long drive event out there, and that was with other golf influencers. Um, and then I'm trying to think if I know I told the Manny Ramirez story, but
Yeah.
like I had the other Home Run Derby X invite where I got to meet like Prince Fielder
Yeah.
and like, yeah, and then Andrew Jones. And like at one point, like I was in the clubhouse with like Ian Desmond, Prince Fielder, Andrew Jones, and Johnny Gomes, and we're sitting in a circle for like an hour and just talking hitting
No, man.
about like their approaches and everything. And I was like, yeah, like that, like being in those scenarios are like, how the hell like I'm just an influencer guy. I play minor league ball and I'm sitting with all these like all stars
Great.
talking
Yeah.
about their approaches. I'm like, I wish I could have set up a camera in the locker room, but
Oh, man. Yeah.
yeah.
Tell me about how are Will Taylor from Baseball Bat Bros and Eric Simmett in real life? Good dudes?
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
they're great guys. I mean, I tell people the one event we had out in Jackson Hole, Wyoming was so sick. And we had Ryan Klesko was out there with us too.
Let's go. There
And
you go.
yeah, so it was just like a cool experience. But that night at the Airbnb, I mean, I don't think I laughed that hard in a long, like the whole night. We were just laughing nonstop, and I can't even tell you all the stuff we are laughing about, but it was just one of those environments where we were just having such a great time, and it was just
Yeah.
cool, and we're just in the middle of this beautiful place, and yeah, they're good guys. Eric Sims, he's the same dude off camera. He tones it down a little bit, and then I mean he's recognized everywhere he goes. So as soon as
Yeah.
he runs into kids talking smack to him, he talks it right back immediately. I mean,
Yeah.
he knows his role in that sense.
Yeah. I think of really you kind of three guys as like the main kind of baseball influencer dudes out there. When I think of like baseball bat bros, E-Sim, and then the Swingman, like that's cool that you guys have, come together to do some cool stuff. So it's just neat that, guys can carve out different paths within baseball now. If you're not playing anymore, you can still do some really cool stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. Yeah,
I,
there's some bigger ones now. Like I think like growing, especially coming off of the Savannah Bananas and Cosmic Baseball. They're really pushing the guys to be more influential online.
yeah.
So I mean, you get like Coach Rack. I mean, he's huge.
Mhm.
But in terms of I think the OGs, in my opinion, yeah, I think I'd put myself in the top
Yeah,
five guys on the
absolutely.
baseball end. But
Absolutely. I need to hear before we get a little going here further, and I got a whole hitter's corner for you. So these are really kind of the fun backhand questions for me, at least. Talk to me about how the Nowak step came about, how you discovered it, and then just started using it. I'd love to take me down that road.
so yeah, the Nowak step, honestly. So that was in Orlando in 2000 and what was it, 2018? Because I started social media in 2017, and it
Uh-huh.
was at a Top Golf in Orlando. It was my first time going. My buddy brought me and my brother out there, and I was like, "This place is sick." And yeah, we were there for a few hours. We were about 3 pitchers of beer deep, and I was wearing my Lucchese cowboy boots and a pair of jeans, and I just thought to myself, how can I compress this golf ball as hard as possible? And I was a closing pitcher throughout college and everything. I had a huge leg kick, and that was the first like movement that I just thought of is turning my back and lifting my front leg.
Really?
And all I wanted to do is just compress that golf ball as hard as I can. And I didn't even expect it to go straight. I didn't really try to hit it straight. I just tried to hit the ball as hard as I possibly could. And it was my best shot I took all night.
Yeah.
And I teed up another one, did the same thing. And then I told my buddy, I'm like, dude, record this. And that's when I had the very first shot of me doing the Nowak step back in
Really?
2018. Yeah, it sat in my phone for 6 months, and I was doing only baseball stuff. So I didn't want to post
Right.
any golf content. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me just post it up there. I'm running short on content. And then all of a sudden, it was one of my most viral videos I posted at the time. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'm onto something here. So ever since then, I just, kind of ran with it. And I always was intrigued by long drives. So
Yeah.
I I had a buddy of mine, Mike Knox, that hit behind me at Mount Olive, or cleanup hitter. And I reached out to him and was like, dude, how do I get into this? So he helped me get into it. He sent me out some
Yeah.
equipment, and yeah.
Wow.
So
And
yeah,
then
that's kind of how it
obviously
originated.
that movement has been refined as you've gone, or has pretty much been exactly like how you started it? It looks like you've
No,
made some little
yeah,
changes
it's
as you've
gone
gone.
through a lot of changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because after that, I ended up basically working with the greatest long drive coach ever, which is Bobby Peterson, and he coaches Kyle Berkshire, all the top 5 ranked guys now he coaches.
Yeah.
And he kind of recruited me after going into my second year after COVID kind of canceled what would have been my second year. But I kind of lost that swing. It was so natural to start, and then I gave up on it during COVID, and then tried to come back to it, and it just wasn't clicking. But when he ended up kind of recruiting me, we started working on it. My regular golf swing, I was almost just as fast with my regular golf swing, and he basically said, you got to make a choice. You're either going to go regular golf. I said, Bobby, this ain't fun doing a regular golf swing. It's only fun if I just do this ridiculous swing. And I think that's what's going to make it unique for me. And he's like, all right, well,
I
just
love it.
let obviously I'm going to help as much as I can, but 60%, 70% of this is you and how you're feeling. You just got to be able to translate it to me, and he'll help me
Yeah.
with the rest. And so so as far as refining my swing, to be able to hit different ball flights, because that's what people don't realize about long drive. We're not just up there hitting it as hard as we can and hoping for the best. We get, a week out, our coach will send us the full, numbers for, say, if we're going to Denver versus going to the Carolinas or something, depending on where you are at sea level versus high elevation. If it's expected to be downwind, wind off the right, wind off the left, and the humidity, everything. I mean, he'll send us all the data on what the weather's supposed to be like, and then he'll have every single flight characteristic you have to try to train that week leading up to the event. So
Interesting.
So you'll have your go-to shot, which mine would be, kind of a 5-10 yard draw, and about 175, 180 feet apex, and it could be in Denver downwind off the left, and you have to hit, either, you got to block it to the back right corner or hit a slight cut, and you got to spin it at, instead of 1800, you got to spin it at 2500 RPM and hit that ball 200 feet in the air versus 180. So all those things, you're like going to these events, you hit your first ball in play, and that's all you're trying to do the rest of the set is hit that exact, those spin characteristics and everything while swinging hard. There's a lot going into it. And then I'm doing the step on top of it. So there's, if you see me on the golf course doing the step, I'm trying to obviously keep it as simple as I can, trying to hit, just hit one in the fairway. But if I have a dog leg right, dog leg left, something like that, I'm changing positioning in my stance, and I know how to work my club path with the step and everything, because I've done it so much. So there's definitely, as I said, as far as the swing evolving, I had to change some stuff and slow things down to make it more controllable and be able to manipulate the club path. So,
oh man, that is absolutely fascinating, dude. And I think it's beautiful. I mean, it's just, there's so much, it's such a fluid athletic movement that not many people could pull off. I mean, that really is a testament to your athleticism and hand-eye as well. Tell me about, I think this is a really cool part of your career and your path, was that you ended up on Joe Rogan, or Joe Rogan played one of your clips. What was that like for you? And how did you even learn about that? Tell me about that whole experience.
Yeah. So Joe Rogan was, that was one of the coolest moments, as far as, one of those things that, because that was pretty early on, in my opinion, as far as my social media career went, or goes. So getting those text messages from my buddy saying, dude, Joe Rogan just talked about you. I'm like, there's no way Joe Rogan just talked about me. And sure enough, I come across the clip, and he's just randomly bringing me up in front of these guests. He's done it 4 times now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he just loves the mechanics of the swing. He's such a, biomechanic type focused guy. And I mean, it's just unbelievable, because that guy has, tens, 20s of millions of followers, and to have him just casually mention me, and you could tell he watches my videos, because he'll like mention other videos that I've had and not bring those up on the show. So to know that those kind of celebrities and guys are watching my stuff it was surreal. That was the first moment of realizing the kind of eyes that my videos are reaching, which for someone that at the time I wasn't doing social media for a living, but are such major moments. Even now, say if someone posted something about my swing that was just as popular as Joe Rogan, I would be probably more dumbfounded now, knowing the impact that has doing this full time, versus in the past, I thought it was an amazing achievement and stuff like that. But I've reached out to him a bunch of times, and I still haven't heard any response.
Haven't gotten through yet?
No, I imagine his DMs are probably packed solid. So,
well, I will definitely make a reel out of this, and we'll see if we can tag him and get some sparks going between you guys. Wouldn't that be amazing if you got invited to go on there?
That would be sick. But I tell people too, the way he references me, he keeps calling me the super jack dude. So knowing the guys he hangs out with, I'm going to have to pack on about 15, 20 pounds of muscle before I see him, so I don't let him down.
Oh, dude, I love that. Okay, that's so cool. I want to go to my what I call my hitter's corner now. So when I have guys on there, like hitting coaches or high level hitting guys, I ask them some interesting questions about hitting. So is that cool with you if we dive into that?
Absolutely.
What was the age that you started switch hitting at?
So my brother and I would mess around in the backyard since we could remember. So in terms of messing around with it, we've done it since I could remember. We'd play a game, lefties versus righties. So we
Yeah,
would pick ourselves, which was kind of picking yourself on your team made it kind of a wild card because you could hit like your favorite player at that time. But I
yeah,
would do, lefty, I would pick me and Griffey and Bonds. And then righty, I would do like me, Manny Ramirez, and Mark McGuire. And so that's how it started. And then my first at bat was 12U at Cooperstown, Dreams Park.
oh,
And
cool.
we were beating New Jersey by, it was something crazy, like 18 runs or something. And I went up there left-handed and had a 9 pitch at bat and then hit a home run. And I was too nervous to go up there and do it again. So I didn't do it the rest of the year. And then when I turned 13, I told myself, I'm going to try to do this fully. So my first at bat of the season, I went up there and hit my first pitch for a home run. And that gave me the click. I'm, telling myself I could do
Keep
this.
doing it.
So, and I've been doing it ever since. I've been full switch hitting since 13.
Oh, beautiful. What would you say are some of the biggest challenges trying to keep both swings, game worthy, game ready?
Honestly, it was so lefty needs more attention to detail. I need more TLC lefty. Righty, nowadays I do a better job of just being able to go up there righty and hit without too much practice beforehand.
Hmm.
But I think the hardest thing when I first started doing it throughout the years, especially later senior year of high school, going into college, is I almost lost my righty swing. So so yeah, freshman, sophomore year in college with Stony Brook, Alex Rodriguez was going through his whole, monster seasons then. So I was looking up a lot of Alex Rodriguez videos and him talking about hitting, and I think with switch hitting at that time, that kind of opened my eyes of how to backspin the ball correctly from both sides effectively, and it was a little more upper body focus. My lower half didn't really come into play until after my professional career was over, and I
Yeah,
realized the importance of my lower half. So now maintaining both. I wish I knew this when I played pro ball,
yeah,
but it's almost switching gears completely. We're right-handed now. I try to think of anchoring my right heel into the ground, and I
hmm,
try to think of from an extreme level, you think of Aaron Judge, where he kind of sits over his trail sides. It's his trail side, and he just rotates from his right side.
yeah,
That's kind of what I feel with my right shoulder, my right heel is anchoring myself there because I'm naturally going to have some lateral movement into the ball during the game. But
yeah.
if I don't anchor myself with my trail side, I end up
You need that
drifting,
feel.
and I get longed. And it's reverse lefty. So when I switch to lefty, I have to anchor myself down with my left heel and load this left arm. So
Yeah,
it's being able to switch that thought process is something I never thought of when I played throughout my entire career until I started playing men's league.
yeah.
And that really helped me get my head positioned behind the hitting zone a lot better
Oh, I like
and
that.
gets my top hand to be able to stay on top of the ball because your whole trail side's connected. So your ability to stay on top of the ball with your trail arm has a direct correlation how well you stay in your trail hip. Because if you walk away from your trail hip, the first thing that happens is it starts getting lazy because it has nothing to support it. So
Yeah.
that's where you get those top spin line drives or you're swinging underneath the ball. And
Hmm.
so that's where, as far as maintaining both, it's just switching the brain from complete opposite ends, of my
Ooh,
body and be able to use
man,
both sides.
that is high level talk, dude. Do you have any advice for someone that is switch hitting or wanting to start switch hitting?
Uh, Definitely top hand drills is my biggest thing. So I just started, which is a whole nother part of my newest ventures, but I partnered up with Eric Yavarone. He's the Dodgers head strength trainer,
Okay,
strength and performance coach. So I just wrote a whole hitting program with him. But if you follow my
oh,
hitting
cool.
program, I do a lot of one hand drill stuff to start every single day.
Hmm.
And with people just getting into switch hitting, going into a no stride position and mastering being able to go bottom hand and then top hand, hitting low line drives and ground balls to the opposite middle infielder, and be able to do that routinely is in my opinion, probably the best way to get your body coordinated to hitting from that opposite side of the plate.
Yeah.
Because when I first started doing that as a switch hitter, it was almost near impossible left-handed to hit top hand drills and control the
Yeah.
ball. But now I could do it. If you see me in the cage, I'm always warming up. Even if I'm doing a home run derby and stuff like that, that's the first
Yeah.
thing I go through is making sure I calibrate my hands and my eyes from that side of the
Man,
plate.
dude, that is so good. Then tell me, this is gonna be a two-part question. Then, do you what bat model do you use and do you like? Wood. What bat models have you been through? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've tried all of them, but what's the progression been? And then, are you using the same bat model from each side, or is it different?
So I use the same bat model from both sides. When I was in with the Orioles, it was the J154 from Old Hickory. That
Okay.
was Now I hold it. I hate the bat. It has no
Really?
has no barrel feel, but it was their densest model they made.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know why I liked it so much, but the year I was an all-star, I went through 100 and I think it was 189 at bats with the same bat, and
Oh
I used
wow.
it in batting practice, so the paint was like worn off the barrel.
Yeah.
And actually, Yordano Ventura was the guy who broke it, and it
Really?
was yeah, it was a full count. And Ventura had this ability to, when he went glove side, which would be inside to me as a lefty, he would just come across the ball and he would throw this nasty like 100-mile-an-hour cutter, and not mean to do it, but it was just the dirtiest pitch, and there's no chance anyone would hit it when he would get there. And
Yeah.
yeah, he got in on me, and
Got it.
I tell you what, that bat tried to stay together. It barely broke, but no, I used a J154
Yeah.
with the Orioles. Then I switched. I started using, what was it? It was it was a 143 with Old Hick, and then the 143M, which is pretty much a shaved down 143.
Hmm.
But now I use, since 2017, I've used all Stinger bats. I mean, Stinger
Yeah.
has been a huge partner of mine since I started social media,
Yeah.
and they started as a wood bat company. So we were basically trying to build my own model bat, and it wasn't until like 2021 about when we really solidified the JN11. So the Jeremy Nowak 11 bat is what I've been using ever since, and
Yeah.
it's very similar to the 143M. It's from Old Hickory, so it's got a big barrel. It's got a little more end load to it, slightly
Hmm.
more end load, but it still feels pretty balanced. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I've been using ever since.
What's the size on that, lengthwise?
I use it's a 30, it's a 34, about 31 and a half.
Okay.
So, but I've been using a 34, yeah, my whole career, pretty much.
Okay.
Once I became a freshman in college, I've only swung 34s.
And then I'm most familiar with like Louisville models. So like when I hear 43, is it comparable to like a C2 43, like the
Yeah.
bigger
Yep.
barrel power hitter bat?
Yep.
Okay.
But then you imagine that, and imagine the entire bat from the barrel all the way down through the handle getting shaved down a
Okay.
hair. So the
Gotcha.
whole bat's lighter, but the balance points are the same.
Yeah.
So
So then tell me about your partnership with a Stinger. I imagine that you do Stinger batting gloves as well. So Stinger bat, batting gloves, all kinds of stuff.
yep, yeah. So Stinger, so Brandon Eaton, the owner of Stinger, we played in a men's league tournament right after I was getting done with my career, and he just started Stinger Sports around that time. And like I said, he just started doing wood bats, and then eventually got into just general baseball equipment. And his whole business model is just basically making baseball affordable. So he tries to figure out ways to get quality materials, but not obviously overpricing them. And he's been doing that ever since. So
Yeah.
yeah, when I had 1,000 followers, he reached out to me. He loved the impersonations, and he basically said, he's like, dude, I could see where this is going.
Yeah.
If you'd like, I'd love to partner. I'll just send you all the stuff you need, the attire, just wear it and use it. And, whatever you need, you just let me know. And he's been taking care of me ever since. And
I love that.
it's been an awesome relationship with him. And when when I was leaving Buffalo and moving down to South Carolina, I moved here basically to work for Stinger full time. And I was doing sales at his office for 6 months back about just over 3 years ago now.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was at 100,000 followers at the time, about 3 years ago. And then, yeah, it was just one of those things. Just for me, it was sitting behind the desk just wasn't my. I never
Yeah.
sat behind the desk to work. I did work 2 jobs when I was in Buffalo, but I was a sales rep that was driving around house to house for my father's company. And then, I was giving baseball lessons. So I was never sitting down. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just started doing research on how influencers make money and, how to handle dealing with companies. So I basically approached Brandon and said, hey, if we could just basically have me start my own Swingman LLC business and let me run with social media and I'll rep Stinger and try to blow this up as much as possible.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so yeah, that kind of was like my first social media partnership in a sense, becoming a full influencer. And then from there, it just built me the confidence to go and talk to the companies I already had relationships with, like Aero Swing and
Yeah.
Pure Torque and, Square Shoes and like all these companies. I truly believed in their products. And I mean, it just became easy sailing from there. It's just, using and representing products that I truly believe. And
Yeah.
it's been cool.
Oh man, that's beautiful. That's really cool. Let's move on a little bit to, and I'm trying to take some notes too, as I am coming up in the baseball influencer game. It's interesting out
Mhm.
there. Let me ask you, what's the hardest ball that you ever remember hitting? Is there anything that jumps out to you, or one particular ball, or anything like that?
Um, it's tough to say because, being 38, I was playing ball well before they started really taking exit velo into account.
Metrics, yeah,
Yeah, so, hitting balls hard, you know, especially, college going through pro ball, like I have so many hard hit balls I can remember. I would say ones that really stuck out to me um in college when I had a 4 home run day on my birthday, my last at bat of I was 6 for 6 with 3 home runs, and I went out my last at bat and turned to Mike Knox, and I said, "Watch how far this baseball goes." And that I just remember like that was one of those few swings in your entire career where you walk up to the plate imagining one pitch
yeah, and you
and
get it,
serving it up. And it was just a low and in fastball. And I took the biggest leg kick and hit this ball as hard as I possibly could. And it went sailing over the light towers. And I could perfectly remember what that felt like and looked like.
yeah,
So that was one that always sticks out to me that I wish
I
I
love
could
that,
see what the stats were on that one. But there was
yeah,
also one we had in when I was with the Orioles or Frederick Keys in high A. We had a bases clearing brawl earlier in the game, and so the whole game was kind of hyped after that. And yeah, they brought in this reliever. He was hitting 97 miles an hour, and I got to 2 strikes pretty quick, and I laid off some nasty pitches and fouled off a fastball, and then he grooved one like belt high, but I kept my
mhm,
hands above the ball, and I hit this thing to center field, and I thought it was a line drive that was going to clear the center fielder's head. He took two
yeah,
steps back and stopped and went over the center field wall and went over the advertisement signs that were, 20 feet above the 400-foot sign in center. And it was a line drive. So like that one, I wish I could have saw the exit feel on that ball because that ball did
right.
not stop going. So those would be the two during my career that really stood out to me.
Oh, beautiful. Let me ask you this: if there's anyone in history that you could have a cage session with, who would it be?
Well, since I already had Manny, no,
Right? Yeah,
um,
that's a dream come
no,
true.
Ken Griffey Jr. would be
Yeah,
Ken Griffey Jr. would be one, but also a very, very close second would be Barry Bonds. I would just, I would just love to, and I know, and I've heard about Barry Bonds talking about hitting just because it came so much easier to him than most. But I would just love to hear from Griffey's end, his just natural ability to hit the ball. I feel like the way he hit and approached baseball is kind of more similar to how I grew up hitting. Even
yeah,
when he talks about his stance, there was, I believe it was a guy that played with his father that had a similar batting stance, and he kind of mimicked him and kind of made it his
really.
own. Yeah. So if you look at my stance, I have reminiscence of Griffey's, but it's my
Oh
own
yeah,
style. I like to have my hands higher, Some people say like my hands look like Chris Davis a little bit, but
Mm.
I think the way Griffey kind of takes on hitting and how he ended up doing it, not obviously talent's different, but I'm saying the way mechanically and stuff, how he just naturally more did it is kind of the way I did it. And I think having a cage session, just discussing hitting with him would be so amazing. But Barry
Yeah.
Bonds, I would truly enjoy too, because of how dominant he was. I would love to just talk and see how much work he put in into maintaining feels and maintaining, because you look at interviews of Christian Yelich talking about Bonds, telling him like to hit the ball straight off the plate. Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that, where you never hear about stuff like that. And then this is
Right.
the
What is
greatest
that?
home run hitter of all time, trying to hit the ball straight down.
Right. Off the
So
plate. Yeah.
yeah, to just have these discussions with someone and see what is going through their head in doing these drills and because I'm sure there's more than just that. There's going to be more things that he did and things he focused on during batting practice. You could find very little batting practice videos of Bonds, but you'll see him barely swinging. And he's just, he's all about that top hand,
Top hand,
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah. And talk to Jenny Finch when he used to do that,
That
this weekend.
video is
Yeah.
hilarious. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah,
Which,
so he would be a close second.
I remember seeing that video. And it was like them talking shit back and forth, and she was like, "You never seen this rise ball before, Barry?" And he was like, "You never seen this top hand, let out."
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. I know. Yeah,
Oh man.
it's
Okay.
so amazing.
In your opinion, give me your top three favorite right-handed swings of all time and your top three left-handed swings of all time.
So right-handed, number one's Manny. Manny's always been my favorite right-handed swing.
Mm-hmm.
To be specific, '04 Manny was my favorite Manny swing because he's had different variations. He has had like the Cleveland Manny, where he's way back here, and then he had '04 Manny where it was so quiet. He would go here, and then it would be like he would have tension here, but it wasn't this whole thing. He would just be slow, and then it would just be this little rock. And I remember he went, I believe it was '04 when he started out the season in a home run drought, but then he had a home run. I think '04 was when he took Roy Halladay off the lights.
Mm-hmm.
And he was so slow to load on his first home run of the year. And I don't know why that swing stood out to me. And after that, he just went on an absolute tear with home runs. But yeah, Manny would be my number one. Number two would be the early, probably I think year 2 and 3 with the Yankees, Alex Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
So A-Rod, when he came from Seattle to Texas, he was very drifty in his swing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had amazing hands and he had tons of power and he obviously made it work. But when he went to the Yankees, he ended up, I think the first month of the season, he had like 14 home runs. And he hit, I think 1 or 2 home runs in old Minnesota Stadium. And they were absolute bombs. And it looked like he was barely doing anything. And his biggest thing that year was, when he talked about his stride, he said that when he was striding, he was getting so lateral moving. And if you think about how can I rotate faster, think about any figure skater or ballerina. What they do, they don't go wide. They pull everything as tight as they can. So now with his stride, instead of thinking to get power this way, he thought of just lifting his foot up and putting it right down where it was to think about rotating faster. And then he felt like he kept his head back better. He had more time to hit, and he would just rotate into the ball so much faster and be able to stay through it much longer. And that's where he just went. And he was unbelievable when he made that adjustment. And that's actually what helped me when I was at Stony Brook and I wasn't playing much. I put up 3 buckets of balls and hitting off the tee and literally just going, because I had the same problem. I was drifting too much and I would just top spin balls on my pull set. As soon as I tried to lift my foot and put it back down where it was and figure out how to load power into the ground that way, I was back spinning balls all over the field. Yeah. And it made so much sense to me so he would be my number 2. And then number 3, right-handed. Man, there's so many good ones. And trying to think.
We can just go to left-handed if you want.
Yeah.
2's fine.
Yeah, I feel like there's someone I'm missing right now. I'll think of it in a bit. But yeah, left-handed, number one's Griffey, obviously.
Yeah.
Number two's Barry Bonds. Number three's Robbie Cano.
Oh, Cano. So smooth. So beautiful.
Cano's, I
He's
absolutely
still doing it down in Mexico, too. That dude is still raking down there. A couple years ago, he hit 400 something down there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's a pure hitter. I could watch him hit all day long and be content. So
okay. Beautiful swings there. What were some swing mistakes that you made now, or you made during your career that you understand better now? How about one?
I would say let's see. I think just mostly the understanding of how to load into my swing and when to do it. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand how I created power. I just had power. And then when the timing was good, things felt great. When they were off, I had no clue where to go. And I was so focused on what was happening at contact that I would shortchange everything back here. And that's where, almost thinking of the swing, obviously it's a fluid motion, but thinking of it as two parts to where I want to get into my trail hip and allow my hands to load deeper behind my trail hips, because the hips are what's going to pull the hands into the zone. Yeah. So understanding that is more important than anything else, because this is where everything starts. Mm-hmm. And I was so wrapped up in what was happening here that this became, and you think about every coach. I mean, I would tell you, Orioles hitting coaches besides Mike Bollinger were absolute horrendous, because no one would ever talk about timing besides Mike Bollinger. So I went, my first 2 years with the Orioles, never getting mentioned about this. Every time I struggled, they try to keep my hands still. They try to widen out my base. So when you widen out your base and you keep your hands still, there's no way you could get back. There's no way you could get in your trail hip effectively, because you're not even worried about that. You're only worried about going from here to here. Yeah. And no athlete could go from a dead stop unless you're Moises Alou. But no, that's an old reference right there.
Great example. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's something that, going back, if I could pick anything that I could go back and whisper in my ear, hey dude, this is where you need to be, that would be the information I would give myself.
Oh man, that was a fascinating and great reference on Moises Alou. What a unique mover he was, and able to be, such a high level big leaguer with some interest. You would probably never teach that swing to someone, or how he does it.
I know.
Here's another broad one that I'm looking at it. It's gonna be funny for you to hear. But do you have any core beliefs or absolutes about the swing?
I just think and I go back to it, but just the biggest thing is rhythm and timing. Because you could have the worst mechanics in your swing, but if you have great rhythm and timing, you have a shot to put the ball in play hard. If you have great mechanics with no rhythm and timing, you're lost. You have no shot. So rhythm and timing is number one.
Beautiful. Yeah. And okay, then are there? I love. I felt like, looking back on my career, I got a trail of tears of hitting coaches that gave me some terrible advice. Are there any independent hitting coaches out there, Instagram guys, just that you really respect what they're doing, or what they say, or their beliefs?
I think, it's tough to say. I watch Ian Jenkins stuff. I really do enjoy watching his stuff. He's incredible talent. He's got unbelievable, pop. So he's fun to watch, and he gives little tips here and there. Obviously he's selling a program too, so he doesn't want to give away too much. Yeah. So I do like some of the things he says, because it is unique in its own, and obviously, it works for him and the athletes he's training. So he's one that I do enjoy watching. Yeah. And then as other ones, I know, Teacher Man gets a lot of crap for stuff he does. I think it's more of his persona online really is terrible.
If he was just like a nicer guy, like, I feel like he would be looked at totally differently, right?
He's such a troll online, and I see him just pop up on random videos just talking smack to people.
He's brutal sometimes.
Yeah, but it's those kind of coaches, for me, I don't like that kind of stuff where it's cookie cutter, because you can't tell me, you can't tell me that Shohei Ohtani or Yordan Alvarez or those guys, snap and do all this sitting hitting from one leg. You know what I mean? So to have such a cookie cutter thing to say, like, if you're doing this is the right way to do it. Well,
the only way.
You can't tell that. I mean, if you watch, I have this conversation with people all the time, but this is, it's kind of going a little off tangent, but it's all hitting related. And I think I have a unique standpoint because I've been teaching hitting for 15 years, but I'm also an established switch hitter. And I could do baseball. I think I'm probably the only person in the world that does baseball and golf both sides. So, and the reason why I can do it is because I understand the translation between a dominant side of the body and a non-dominant side of the body. So think about Aaron Judge hitting right-handed. He's a right-handed thrower, and someone needed to get him to swing from his strong side of his body, which is his right side, which would be similar to watching Barry Bonds hit. Barry Bonds is a left-handed thrower, hits left-handed. So if you watch Barry Bonds turn on an inside pitch or hit a pitch middle, it looks like they're just screwing themselves in the ground and staying almost put with their head and everything. It's very rotational. Yeah. And that's how Aaron Judge hits. But then you look at Ohtani. Ohtani's a left-handed hitter, right side dominant. So if you watch Ohtani's feet, he basically puts his toe down, right? So he gets that foot down early, then he stretches. So his whole right side of his body is stretching out like a rubber band. So he plants his front heel, and he actually has lateral movement with his hips where his weight is transferring into his front leg. Yeah. So his strongest move, if you think of, if I were, this wall next to me this way, my strongest move, if you were to tie a band to it, would be to grab it with my right hand, get into my right hip, and then pull it as hard as I possibly can. Well, that's how Ohtani hits, and that's how the longest drivers in the world with golf hit. So if you watch his front foot at contact, it's almost coming off the ground because there's that much force being put into his front leg so early, versus Aaron Judge ain't doing that move. Barry Bonds ain't doing that move. But because he's right side dominant, he's basically fully committed to this stretch, getting into his front side, but he also keeps his head back, right? Because his head ain't tripping. He's able to transfer that weight and keep that head behind the ball and still see it. But that's his fastest way to accelerate the bat into the ball is through his front side. And people don't put those things together and think of, he doesn't throw left-handed, so he can't hit effectively like Bonds does because he's not that side dominant. And people don't think about that when teaching hitting. The first question, if you were to sign up for me with hitting, or if you meet me in person, first question I ask is, what hand do you throw with? What foot do you kick the ball with? Mm-hmm. It's usually the same foot and same arms, but it gives me an idea of when I'm talking to someone about hitting, it translates different. For example, my nephew, he's 7 years old, and he's a left-handed hitter. He's got a 6-swing lefty, but he's also a left-handed thrower. When I talk to him about hitting, I talk to him as if I'm hitting right-handed because that's my trail side dominance is right-handed. So when I do drills with him, the most effective things isn't me teaching him how I do left-handed. It's me teaching him how I do things right-handed because that translates better with him because he's trail side dominant. So fascinating. Yeah, people don't think about that when it comes to hitting.
Oh, dude, that is amazing. I know I've read before that there's some kind of a correlation, or there's a bunch of Hall of Famers that are like opposite. Like they throw left-handed and bat right, or the opposite switch, and it's like that bottom dominant is can be advantageous for the right player. That's fascinating.
And that's where if you were to give me a 31-inch BB core bat drop 3, I tried this before, but if I go if I go into a stride swing right-handed and just use my bottom hand, my left hand, I could barely hit the ball 80 miles an hour off the tee. If I do it I've gotten to 95 with just my right hand, left-handed, because that's my strong side. Yeah. So if you think about teaching hitting, that's why Ohtani has so much pop and he's able to do what he does because it's a full commitment to that side, right? But But yeah, it's and then vice versa. If you ask me to hit a ball as hard as I can with my bottom hand righty, I'm going to be way faster that way than trying to do it left-handed. You know what I mean? So
that's amazing. So, yeah. Let's go into your philosophy at the plate, and you can either talk about it while you were an affiliated or where it's at now. But in terms of were you splitting the plate in half into thirds? Were you looking for a certain something? Were you looking left center to right center. Like all people have all different kind of philosophies on what they're looking for and what they're trying to do. What is yours?
So it changes. If I'm feeling really good, then I split it in thirds. If I'm
Uh-huh.
feeling not so good, I just split it in half. I'm just looking
Uh-huh.
out or in. That's pretty generic as far as what I'm looking at that way. Now, if it's a guy with a pretty generic release point, I'm basically looking maybe a few inches above the knees, below my belt buckle. So I'm tunneling one
Yeah.
slot there. My tendency is if I look for an elevated pitch, is I chase up. So
Okay.
I try to see below the belt. Now that would change if I have a tall guy thrown over the top. I look bottom of the knees because anything that's belt high is probably going to be letter high. With guys with different release points,
Yeah.
but no, as far as generic approaches, if it's no one on and one out something, I'm just looking for my normal approach is I just get up to the plate. I stand deep in the box, but usually the back edge of the plates is right where my belt buckle's lined up.
Yeah.
So I draw an imaginary wall there. So that's as far as I'm letting my head go forward. So I
Okay.
keep everything behind the imaginary wall. So everything I'm doing there. And then, especially if I'm hitting the middle of the order, usually I'm not getting pitches inside. So I'll look middle, and adjust away or in early in the count and always think 2-0 unless I get two strikes. So I'm trying to be as picky as I can all the way up to
Yeah.
two strikes and aggressive on good pitches. And yeah, and besides that, as long as I keep my head behind that wall, I don't have to try to hit up on the ball. I don't have to try to elevate it. Usually my
Yeah.
swing path takes care of that. And then the pitch location is what's going to damage the pitcher if I get a good pitch to hit. So
Oh
try to keep it
man.
simple.
That's so good, man. I just high level stuff. What about grip wise? You a pine tar, a Moda stick? Do you use any like the lizard skins or anything like that? What do you like there?
I don't use any grips on my bat. I just use Tiger Stick. Yeah, I've always been a Tiger Stick guy,
Okay.
and I'm very particular on my grip though. Like my first thing I do if you see me go in the dugout is I load up before I start sweating. I load my hands up with rosin. So
Uh-huh.
I put rosin all over my hands to clog all my pores, and I take a towel and wipe it and press it in. So it helps keep my hands from sweating inside my batting gloves. And if they do start to sweat a little, it sticks to my batting gloves versus
That's
getting the
awesome.
gloves to flip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very particular on grip, even with my feet, with my hands, because I could feel power leaks when I don't. And yeah, and then I make sure that I put, before the game, putting pine tar up, on the top of the handle or between the barrel and the handle.
Yeah.
And then also a little, depending on the heat, how hot it is outside, I'll put some around the knob because I hang a pinky over
Yeah.
the knob. But if it's too hot and I put some around there, it kind of gets like glossy and it starts slipping, and that gets to me. And but yeah, I mean it's you know, I'd say Tiger Stick and make sure I have nice, decent new pair of batting gloves. I don't like
Yeah.
super used batting gloves where it feels like they're getting loose on your hand or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
So,
fascinating. I've never heard anyone talk about rosin that way. I had sweaty hands myself, and I used to actually get prescription like anti perspirant for your
mhm,
armpits. It was called Dry
yeah,
Sol, and I would put it on my hands at night, and it would clog those, and they wouldn't let me sweat. So
yep, yep.
interesting there.
Rosin, even on the golf course, the first thing I do before I start sweating is rosin up my
Really?
hands. Yep.
Now, are you a grip work guy? Do you like to keep your hands strong? You think that's beneficial for you?
I think it's super beneficial to have a strong grip, but I never actually did forearm workouts. Is
Okay,
my best workouts in the gym were always my back workouts. I was a big pull up guy, so I'd
so
always
you're
start
holding, yeah,
all my
anyway.
days. Yeah, I'd start all my days off with 8 to 10 sets of pull ups. I'll do muscle ups and everything. But rows, I was very good at rows and everything, but I never ever used any kind of grip aids. I would never use straps, even when
Mhm.
I do deadlifts or anything. I always thought if I would only lift as much weight as I could grip. And
Yeah,
that's kind of what helped get my grip stronger. So, and then I was hitting so much because if you think of when the way Ian Jenkins talks about hitting and how much he hits, I was the same guy, but from two sides of the plate. So
yeah,
I would be hitting so much throughout the days that I feel like my forearms and my grip got really strong from that as well.
always working. Okay, and then what are some like hitting tools, gadgets, anything like there that you really like or believe in?
So, and it sounds like a promo because I'm partnered with them, but there's a reason why I am. But Aerobat, I'm telling you, is going to
Sick.
change how
I
guys
love it.
warm up in the box. So,
Hmm.
and the way I explain it is, when a pitcher comes out to the mound, what's he do? He's out there, he's throwing light balls, he's throwing weighted balls before he even picks up a baseball. And then he goes and he's crow hopping off the mound. He gets behind the mound. He throws a few. Then he gets on the mound. He's throwing, 15 pitches, 20 pitches, getting loose, pouring sweat. And then they call him in from the bullpen. Then he gets 8 more pitches. Now he's really pouring sweat. And he's like this before he even walk up to the plate. And here's the batter swinging a donut slowly and then going up to the box and expecting him to swing fast when he asks his
Right.
body to. Where in the sport of long drive, we're just swinging light objects as fast as we can. We go out and we do the same thing pitchers do. By the time we're walking up to the grid, we all have towels. We're pouring sweat. We're ready to go. Our heart rate's up. The worst thing that happens for a long driver, and the same thing with the pitcher, is with the long driver, if guys in the grid are losing golf balls and they need 2 minutes to go look for balls or call balls back because they're too close, that 2 minutes of us just freezing ourselves is the worst. So you'll see guys just swinging out of their shoes just to keep their body warmed up. And there's a reason why, because your central nervous system, it has to be firing at peak level, just like a pitcher would.
Right.
Well, hitters, I think, are falling behind. We see the strikeouts going up. Pitchers are throwing harder. Their stuff's nastier. But the only way hitters could really catch up is if we could figure out how to get your central nervous system to do exactly what you're asking it to do, which is react to these nasty pitches when you're asking to. So, you only have a split second. How many foul balls you're giving away because your body wasn't fully, completely warmed up? The part that bothers me now that I use an Aerobat is you watch a guy in the first inning take a swing, they fall it off and they go, oh. Like, why are you still not loose going up to the plate, right? But it's baseball. I mean, there's so much downtime to where if you watch me on the on-deck circle, I'm, 2 batters before with my Aerobat, I'm already starting to I'm like, okay, 10, 15 swings, max 60, 70%. I do this to get my body kind of primed before I'm on deck. Now I'm on deck. Now I have 7 to 8 swings progressively harder. By the 8th swing, I'm 100% swinging on my last swing and making sure that my heart rate's up. I'm a little starting to breathe a little heavier. And now I could go up to the plate and relax because the blood's pumping, the oxygen levels there for my muscles to react. Now I could calm the mind down because the body's warmed up. And I have, your at bat's only going to last maybe at most a minute and a half. So that minute and a half, my body's primed to do whatever I ask it to. And I don't have to force speed. I could take the game just like I normally do. I always tell myself to swing max 80% because if I try to do too much, I'm going to load too far. I'm going to swing too long. So, but when it comes to, I just did all these fast swings on deck. My body's moving fast. So let me just get on time to get myself loaded. And then when I ask my body to swing, it's going to be moving faster than it would have if I was swinging a heavy bat. So to your question,
Beautiful.
the best and what makes that unique, you're holding it right now. You can see how flimsy it is. That's the part of it that Bill, the owner of Aeroswing, he designed his golf product like that, but the way the baseball product is weighted and the weight's distributed, that kick from that flex point is right where you should feel it in the hitting zone. That's where your wrist really
it feels right.
Yeah. So when you're swinging fast, you're not actually, it's not like a fungo. You can be like, oh, I could do that with a fungo. Listen, no, because your wrist will be releasing completely different with a fungo. This it actually is a 100% translatable to my 34-31 or 34-31 and a half. So that's the part to me that I told Bill, there's nothing on the market that you don't need extra rounds between the Aerobat and your regular bat to get things back dialed in. You could just do that, grab your bat and just hack away. So,
oh man. Beautiful. And I totally agree with it. And I've got a little partnership going with Aeroswing now too. So what is your code in case anyone out there wants to use it? Get a little something off.
It's just Swingman. So code Swingman gets you a discount. And we actually we're going to be seeing those in a lot of Dick's Sporting Goods soon. So I actually went with Bill to go present it, and it went really well. And that's like the newest project. And as I mentioned before, we already saw it in the Dodgers clubhouse.
Yeah,
So
Mookie. I saw that with Mookie in the batting cage.
yep. And yeah, Alex Freeland actually is the one. He's like a huge aerobat guy.
Okay.
And yeah, there's gonna be a lot more for sure.
And you just eloquently put all that, but I just, when I get it in my hands and I start swinging it, it feels right, and it gives you the right feedback. What you just said too about the kick point of like if it's the right place in your swing, like it instantly tells you if it's right or if it's wrong. So it even has helped me. Is like, okay, am I being pushy or am I getting more barrel turn back here? It just feels right, and I have been singing its praises to anyone that will listen. I think the Aerobat is a great trainer, so I love how
Mm-hmm.
you put that. Let me ask you, all kinds of debate these days between older head baseball guys, hitting coaches, new school guys. Is the swing up or is it down, or is it flat, or what is it? When, in your opinion?
So yeah, that's a great question. I think the feel is down. That's where I feel the most effective in hitting the balls the furthest. The feel is
Yeah.
down. But what gets the bat working on the right path is what your lower half is doing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the lower half's job to set the foundation to correct that path to swing
Okay.
slightly up on the ball. But if you're trying to manipulate swinging quote unquote up, everyone goes to their hands. Everyone thinks, oh, I got to get here to get, air underneath the ball. It's no, it should always feel this. But if my lower half is here and my spine angle is here and I'm
Yeah.
swinging down, it's like this. But if I take this angle right here and tilt my body like this, I'm still swinging down, but now with the spine tilt behind the ball. And
Yeah.
that's where you get natural. Once you start getting the ball more out in front, you start getting
Mm-hmm.
that slight, ascending blow into the ball. And it's nothing that should ever feel forced.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I teach hitting, as far as, right now I have 3 different programs out with launch angle, bat to ball, and exit velo. But exit velo and bat to ball is all feeling this. But launch
Right.
angle program is training your lower half to do exactly that. Get in a launch position, but maintaining this feeling. And if you watch, we talked about Barry Bonds earlier, like top hand. He doesn't, when he talks about top hand, he's not doing this, right? He's like, I got
Right.
that top hand. I got that top hand like this. That's the feel, from his position when he's doing this. Hands drop, hands come back up, and then he goes from here straight into the ball, but he's behind it this way, so he gets that natural loft to it. So that's my
Yeah.
whole spiel on swinging up versus down or level.
Oh, that was beautifully put. And I used to train with a guy named Justin Knadler who was in the Giants organization while Barry was there, and he got a couple cups of coffee up. And Barry was so his philosophies were so powerful and respected within that organization that a lot of the hitting coaches were adopting it, and they were a very top hand organization. So Justin came home one winter, and we were all top hand. We made a mess of it. We did not understand what the hell we were doing. And swings looked terrible afterwards, but I remember thinking that this, or as I've learned more about hitting and Barry's philosophies, how powerful Barry was within that organization to push the top end stuff. Let's move on a
Yeah.
little bit. What are some of your favorite baseball smells of all time?
I mean, new glove. I mean, you can't
Yeah,
go wrong with a brand new glove. That'd probably be my number one.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean the regular pine tar. I always liked the smell. I never liked using regular pine tar, but I love the smell of pine
smell of it.
tar.
Yeah,
Yeah, I never understood. Honestly, even to this day, I don't understand how to properly use like real pine tar. I feel like every time I did it, it would just turn into this just
goopy
sloppy,
mess.
just slippery mess. And it bothered me so much because I just wanted to go and put that pine tar rag and just,
Right?
do it right. And every time I did it, I'd put the bat back. I'm like, I can't even use this bat anymore. I just do it wrong every time. And then when Tiger Sticks, I got introduced to those. I'm like, yeah, I'll just stick to this.
That's
But
the way it's supposed to be, for sure.
yeah,
I
pine
love that.
tar would be no. Actually, there was an old smell back in the day when I'd get like a brand new like metal bat for some reason. Like
Mhm.
coming out of the wrapper, it would have this like unique. Because my first thing I'd do with my bats is I'd sleep with it for the first
Yeah,
few nights. I'd always have it next to me in bed.
I've done that too, buddy. Yep, been
Yep,
there.
yep. But those had maybe it was a grip on it or something that had a unique smell. But yeah.
Yep, I love that. Tell me about, if you could play catch with anyone in history, baseball history, who would it be?
catch with anyone. Oh, man. I mean, it's tough not to stick with, my idol like Ken Griffey Jr. or something like that.
Okay.
But I mean, out of straight curiosity, maybe like Vlad Sr. So
Oh
I'd like to
man,
play long toss with him just as watch,
see what it feels
Uh,
like. Yeah, that
yeah,
arm.
that would be fun. I mean, like Carter Capps was my teammate. I got to play long toss with him once before, and I was like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, someone like that, old school, would be pretty cool.
Okay, beautiful. And then, do you have what was your most fun year in baseball and your least fun, and why?
I would say most fun would probably be my senior year at Mount Olive,
Yeah,
because that put me on the map. That's the year that got me drafted. Our team was unbelievable. I mean, we obviously didn't do too well in the playoffs, not because we had all the talent in the world to win World Series that year. But as far as just how the team clicked, kind of how the team grew together, he had a few guys that maybe didn't seem like the right fit, but somehow everyone ended up molding together and growing together. And we just were so dominant that year offensively. It was just silly. I think halfway through the year, Erskine and D2 was the second highest batting average team wise, and they're hitting like I think they're hitting like 340 or 350 as a team. We were hitting 415 as a team
yeah,
at halfway through the season. It was just like bizarre numbers.
yeah,
So that year was probably the most fun I had.
yeah.
And then least fun was definitely my junior year, the year before that at Stony Brook University.
Right.
That was my least fun year. That one, that one just 60 at bats. Don't know what my role is. Few injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back, and I always go back and re-listen to episodes. It was shameful about how that staff handled you and communicated with you, and were just not very transparent about how they wanted to use you. And it just, I'm glad you got out of there and found where you were supposed to be at. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
no, I appreciate that. I'm glad I did too.
For sure. What is the greatest baseball movie of all time, and what is your what's the word?
Oh man, it's tough. I feel like I go through phases. Like I went through a big Sandlot phase not too long ago because my kids were massive Sandlot fans because I
Still
showed them the
stands up.
movie.
So good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like this scene with the fireworks and Ray Charles playing,
Oh,
beautiful or America
oh,
the Beautiful. I
that
don't know
doesn't
that,
get you.
that
Yeah.
yeah that part always gets me. I mean, when I was younger, Little Big League was probably my favorite movie growing up because I mean, you had Griffey in it, you had
Yeah.
Randy Johnson. I mean, they had some
Yeah.
stuff. And Little Big League was, in my opinion, out of all the baseball movies ever created, was collectively the best talented baseball actors in
Oh
any
yeah.
movie, in my
Well
opinion.
said.
Because
Well
it
said.
wasn't like, it wasn't like Rookie of the Year or Angels in the Outfield. You know what I mean? Where you just get some of like the goofy looking actors trying to play baseball.
And it looks terrible. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, The Natural was good too because The Natural actually recruited, real professional and college baseball players to act
Yeah.
and stuff like that too. The Natural was obviously up there. One that kind of hit me too for a while, For Love of the Game was one of my favorites to watch,
Yeah.
but it was always a tearjerker. It's like,
Sure.
I would enjoy most of the movie and then I'd have those, when he cuts his hand and, goes to the hospital. It's like, why am I watching this? but but I do like that one too.
Yep. What about worst? Is there a worst that stands out to you?
I mean, Angels in the Outfield is just brutal, just because of the talent.
Yep. It was
I
rough.
mean, the movie too wasn't overly great.
Yeah.
Favorites going back because my daughter was such a huge fan. Rookie of the Year actually is one of my favorite baseball movies growing up, and
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, Angels in the Outfield. Also, The Scout. I remember. Do you remember The Scout?
Yes, with Robert De Niro, I think. Is that right?
No, no, it
Oh,
was
no. Is that who is that?
Brandon Fraser.
Brandon Fraser. That's right. Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
a phenom. That's right.
It
That's
was
right.
that
Obscure.
movie was goofy, but
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I think those would probably be on
Yeah,
the bottom of the list, I'd say.
that suffices. What about we're at the I mean, now all the kids that are coming up, the only option you have is to play the show video game wise. But you're of the age where there were some options when you were coming up playing
Yeah.
baseball video games. Did you play baseball games video baseball video games growing up? And if yes, what was your favorite one or a couple favorites?
Oh man. Uh MLB 98 was my OG favorite game.
Oh
I don't know
man,
if
that's
you ever played
obscure.
MLB
Yeah,
98. Yeah.
absolutely.
They didn't even have a lot of the names in it weren't even real guys. I remember
Right.
the Red Sox had a guy, his name was You're Not Ready. Yeah, I don't know. It's like now betting, you're not ready. And I don't know, it always I'll just repeat that to myself every now and then. Sometimes I'll be late on a pitch and I'll say to
You're not
myself,
ready.
"You're not ready." Yeah. MLB 98. There was Triple Play 2001. I think
Triple
it was.
play, man. There
Yeah,
you go.
that was
Yeah.
when they first started incorporating like that explosive noise off the bat with Sammy
Hmm.
Sosa on the cover. That
Yeah.
was cool. Let's see. There was a game. My brother and I used to play baseball games all the time. Um, There's one on Dreamcast. I think it was Major League Baseball 2K. I forgot, maybe 2K1 or 2K2 or something like that. But
Yeah.
Dreamcast was only around for a couple years
Right.
before,
Yeah. Short
you
run.
know, yeah, it got taken off the shelves because of radiation or something like that. But but that one had unbelievable graphics for its time.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, fast forward, probably, I think it was MVP '04, was it, with Manny on the cover?
I think
That's
that's
oh
oh
05.
five, and
Yeah,
that is
'05.
widely regarded as the greatest baseball game of all
Yes.
time.
Oh,
A lot of
oh
people.
05, probably I had the most hours spent playing that game.
Oh my
It's either
god, so
that
much
one
time.
or in 2000, yeah, so it would have been the show 2013 or 2012, because when I was with Frederick Keys,
Hmm.
I played an entire career that season. Like when I was back at my host family's house, I played an entire career that year.
Oh yeah.
Set the home run record. Never got any allocates, but it's whatever. I mean, it's it's whatever. Uh, no, it was
Yeah.
yeah, that one I put a lot of hours into, but
Oh
no,
yeah.
I've been, and then yeah, I think before that, yeah, I don't think I've obviously played like the Ken Griffey Jr. baseball back
Yeah.
in what was that, Sega or
Super
something like
Nintendo
that.
and
Super
yeah.
Nintendo. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's All-Star Baseball for like the OG Nintendo
Yep.
game.
Yep.
That was fun too.
For
But
sure. Those are some great references, my friend. Man,
yeah.
those were classics. And I can even think back to like even like the soundtrack to the MVP '05. Like if I hear one of those songs, it just like takes me back
Yep.
to that
Oh,
time in my life.
I'll send, like, they'll just come across my feed every once in a while, the intros, and I just send them to my brother. But yeah,
So
it's
good.
that any one of those games.
Hmm. What about baseball books? Were you a reader at all? If yes, were there any baseball books you really liked, or baseball philosophy books, or mental training books, or anything like that that are your
Um,
fave?
I've 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 never really been a big reader. The only baseball book that I really got into was
Okay.
just because of hitting. It was a Louisville Slugger Hitters, Faults and Fixes.
Yep, I
So
have
this
that.
was obviously well before the internet. So
I have that
that
book.
was
Yep.
yeah, that was a book I would have with me all the time and think it
Yeah.
was the answer to everything.
And
Um,
it's like a lot of like big leaguers, like just little like snips of like of their advice and stuff like that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, really
Oh,
cool book.
going back to your one question, because a movie, it's not really a movie, a baseball movie, but do you ever watch Hitters on Hitting?
No.
Oh, dude, you have to watch Hitters on Hitting.
Okay.
There's two of them, but this was back during the steroid era, and it's just
Okay.
literally, yeah, I'm telling you, look it up, watch the whole thing. It is
I'm gonna
so
look it
sick.
up.
Yeah, Hitters on Hitting.
Okay.
Um, and it's all the best hitters at during the steroid era, and it's just showing clips of bombs and bombs and bombs and people just talking about hitting, talking about each other.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
such a
cool.
cool movie. Yeah,
I'm gonna look that up. I never heard about that. Thank you for
yeah.
that reference.
Mm.
When you were playing, were you more motivated about, was it all about getting to the show or getting to the highest level, or was it just about playing the game you loved as long as you could?
That's such a great question because I think
Thank you.
it changed throughout my life.
Yeah.
It's when I was in high school, I wanted to become a Major League Baseball player. That's all I wanted to do, is become a Major League Baseball player. Then I went to college, and you know, it's almost like that dream kind of was pulled away from me, and people
Yeah.
trying to convince me it's not a real dream. And and uh and I think it became not the goal of becoming a major leaguer. It was just the goal to prove to myself that I belong here in
Yeah.
college. And then when I went to Mount Olive and then I ended up, getting my confidence back, then it was like, yeah, I'm going to be a major league baseball player. Then you become a minor leaguer and then you start really struggling. And it's just, I want to hold my job.
Yeah.
I
I don't
want
want
to
to get
do,
released. Yeah. I want to keep playing another day. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then after, I think the rest of, when I was an all-star in 2012, and I'm being told, how they project me when I make the big league lineup, that's when I was almost telling myself, well, I already know I'm going to be a big leaguer. And then you get the carpet swept from underneath you and then you're back to square one and then you're playing indie ball going, I just want to get back to affiliate baseball. I don't, it's such a
Yeah.
roller coaster. And then,
Well said. Yeah.
and it's funny because now playing men's league, I just enjoy the game for what it is. And it's so refreshing now,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's
It's a more pure way to enjoy the game now. There's no like, I'm not going to get
yeah,
cut, or it's not my livelihood. It's just for the pure love of the game, right?
yeah. I mean, it's even just we got guys in our team because I'm always like on the oldest teams, and when guys take a goofy check swing, they get fooled on the first strike or something. Then just the chirping we have from the dugout on each other, just hey, nice swing there, bud. Way to have an approach. Like those kind of things just crack me up, and that's what baseball should be. You should,
Yeah.
that should be fun, but.
Oh man, I love that, dude. Yeah. Okay. Did you have any superstitions when you played, or currently when you're still playing, obviously? But anything?
Currently I don't. And when I
Okay.
was playing, it was mostly things I might have recognized I was doing. If I'm, hitting well or doing something, um, I guess I would tend to try to repeat it. I wouldn't say it was, I do the typical stuff, don't step on the foul line and, that kind of stuff. But as far as superstitions, more came about like my game prep. So, if I went 3 for 3 one day and I knew I did this specific tee work the day before and this specific front toss, and my last swing felt a certain way going into that game, I try to repeat that exact thing going
Hmm.
into the next game. So again, I don't think the superstitions got too crazy. It was just more I would notice what I did before good games and just try to repeat that.
Okay. This is kind of just a random. This is not even on my list, but it just came to me a second ago. You're obviously amazing at replicating guys' swings and whatnot, and you've done all the big guys, and it's just it's so cool that when I watch them, I'm like, oh, I know exactly who that is, like instantly. It's like, yep, I know who that is. Have there been any guys that you've tried to do that you just couldn't get? It was just like it was too complex for whatever reason. It didn't seem to come together.
It's more than just generic guys
Yeah.
that are tough, right? Like if I did Bobby Witt Jr., people probably wouldn't guess because it's very
Right. Because
generic
yeah,
stance.
there's not a lot of like unique movements there.
Yeah, he's not open, he's not closed, his hands are pretty generic, and
Yeah.
those ones, those
Interesting.
are actually tougher than anyone because I watch
Yeah.
them back. I'm like, I just look like someone swinging a bat. The more unique you are, you get into the Kevin Euclises and
Right. It's easy. It's like, okay, duh.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those
Oh,
ones are the
fascinating.
easy ones, but
Okay, interesting.
yeah.
Uh, were you a long toss guy? If yes, tell me about how you did it. Were you like on the line? Were you throwing rainbows? How did you go about that?
I was a huge front toss guy growing
No,
up.
long toss, long toss.
Yeah, sorry, huge long toss guy. Yeah, I was a huge long toss guy growing up, and actually, Steve Geltz, he pitched. I don't know if you ever know that name, but he pitched in the Rays organization. I don't know how many years he was in the bigs, but we grew up together. We're on the same travel team, and him and I were both, touching low 90s going into our senior year in high school, and that's all we did during travel ball. We would just play long toss and try to go on a line as far as we can,
Mm-hmm.
and I did that religiously, even throughout my college, playing outfield and stuff. I want to play long toss. I'd want to get the ball on the line
Hmm.
and try to get good backspin on the ball. So yeah, and then I mean I was a closing pitcher, but even so, I felt like if I was able to long toss on a line, it always felt like I was just like in my mind I had an unhittable fastball when I could get good carry on the ball, and then you
Hmm.
know but no, long toss I think was a huge part as far as my arm development. It's not, nowadays it's different as far as developing arms, but
Yeah.
I think it was a huge part for me back in the day.
Did you ever like just all out see how far you could throw it as far as you could?
No, I never tested that. I would just, play catch. I've gone foul pole to foul pole with Carter
Yeah,
Caps before,
yeah,
um, but yeah, other than that, I've never stood at home plate and see if I could throw it over a fence or something like that. I
yeah.
had
You
out
out.
of
Go
out of
ahead.
high school, I did have tendonitis in my elbow once, and then tendonitis in my shoulder once, my
Yeah,
junior year in high school, which I played that whole year left-handed.
yeah,
Um, but I think since then I was more, concerned about arm health than doing something crazy like that.
yeah.
So so yeah, I never really got into testing that out.
So obviously you had a high level arm. You were like a low to mid '90s guy. Carter Caps would be kind of that next step up.
Yeah.
Um, was it emasculating to play long toss with that guy?
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. It was so dumb. Yeah, and the ball came out of his hand just you know, because you also get those guys that didn't throw very hard, but they're extremely good at long toss. You
Yeah,
know, um, but Carter Capps just had it all. He was really good at long toss, and then also he's throwing it 100 miles an hour,
hmm,
and I can't, I didn't come anywhere close to that. And to
yeah.
see it coming in and then me going back, it always felt like it was this coming in and then I'm throwing it back like that, trying to get to him. Um, oh yeah, it was definitely, you know, guys like that will keep you humble for sure.
For sure, dude. What were some of the most interesting places that you lived during your career? I was an indie ball guy, and I had some pretty interesting places. Some host families that had no AC and no internet and things like that. What were some of the most interesting places that you got to live?
Um, I think Quebec was probably the most interesting. I played for La Aigle de Trois Rivières, so the Three
Yeah,
River Eagles, and
yeah,
um, that was interesting just because no one spoke English.
yeah,
So, I always order my Tim Hortons order in French. As long as you went around and tried to speak French, everyone like kind of giggled at you and then they're nice to you. If
yeah,
you walked around arrogantly just speaking English to everyone, did because Quebec gets that bad rap. They hate when people come in and speak English everywhere. So
yeah.
I always had fun with it, but that was probably the most interesting. But I also, uh, you know, I kind of lived in some sketchy areas too. I played for Evansville, Indiana, 2 years in a row. At the time, I think they're like the meth capital of the world. um, but it's not. You don't see those kind of people every day. But the host family I had there is probably my favorite host family I ever had. The
Yeah,
Bullocks. They had 5 kids. Uh, they had at the time it was a 6-year-old daughter, 8-year-old son, 10-year old daughter, 13-year-old son, and an 18-year-old daughter. And I mean, just the family was so close knit, and
yeah,
it was just they're just such nice people. They all came. I had a lot of my host families come to my wedding, which was cool. So I always had
yeah.
good relationships. But yeah.
Beautiful. Let me ask you this. I just had Rich Hill on recently, big leaguer, and he had a really cool story about when he was in indie ball. So about he asked the clubby, "Where's the bathroom in this clubhouse?" And he goes, "Go up those stairs." And up the stairs, there was just a David sunflower seeds bucket, and that's where you took a piss during games. So, are there any stories like that from your indie ball experience? Like that's so indie ball. Anything like that
Oh
jumps out to you?
god. Um, I don't know if it got that crazy, but as far as indie ball, I mean, because like Quebec, when I was in Quebec, that was my first year in indie ball. That was the first year of that franchise, and they like took care of us. I mean, it
Yeah.
was it was amazing, what they did for us. It felt like a big league team. It was way better treatment than minor league baseball, in my opinion, with the Orioles. And then when I went to Evansville, I mean, it was just such an old field. Um, and but they had all the amenities. It wasn't, anything I haven't seen before or anything crazy.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of what would be, indie ball wise, you know, the craziest things. I mean, as far as that kind of goes at indie ball life, I don't think there was
Okay.
anything that really stands out that would be different than some of the low level minor league,
Well, that's good then.
they
Yeah.
play at. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What were some of your favorite yards that you got to play at?
Um, I really liked Winston Salem in the
Mhm.
2012 All Star Game. That's a really cool minor league stadium. I did like playing for the Frederick Keys. I just liked that environment. It was a small town. Um, ball flew there,
Yeah.
and I just liked the visuals there.
Yeah.
Um, Myrtle Beach Pelicans was cool only because that was my family reunion. So we had like 250 people show up for that
Yeah.
game, and
That was a cool story.
yeah, and but overall stadiums, I mean, you know, playing in playing games in the minor league stadiums, I wouldn't say there's ones like I went to. I'm like, man, I wish I played all my games here.
Have there been any that were just like a dump, but you were like, I don't want to play here again?
Uh, what was it? My first year? Wait, I'm trying to think. I want to say when I was in Aberdeen, Maryland, was it? I think that year they still had Albany had a team. I might be getting this confused because I know they had a minor league team there, and I can't remember if I played minor league ball there because I definitely played when I was at Stony Brook and U Albany had a game or a baseball
Yeah.
game. You couldn't get dressed at the field, like there was no clubhouse. We had to get dressed at the hotel and then take the bus to the field.
Yeah.
And like when you had to use the bathroom, it was the most disgusting like clubhouse like bathroom scene you'd ever like. It looked I can't even explain it. But yeah, that was whack as far as like Albany goes.
Yeah.
But as far as um, in the minor leagues and stuff, again, it's maybe man, nothing's really coming up to the top of
Okay.
my head
Let's move
as
on.
far as
No big
yeah.
deal.
I know there are because I know also when I was at the Frederick Keys too, our grounds crew, they're so good at. I feel like our field felt like a big league field. They kept it
Yeah.
pristine. They're always
Yeah.
out there checking up on us. But and I know there's fields I went to going like shaking my head. I'm like, man, these guys are terrible at keeping. And I can't remember what fields they were. It's been so long.
Okay. Moving on. If we haven't already given them gratitude yet, are there any coaches from your career that you feel like were really influential, great for you that you feel like you need to shout out and give a little gratitude towards?
Yeah, I know I did it. What was it? Part one with Coach Watt.
Yeah.
Coach Watt with Mount Olive. He was definitely the one that kind of put my career into the right motion. So he's
Yeah.
definitely one I wanted to shout out. And then Mike Bollinger, my hitting
Mhm.
coach with the Orioles,
Yeah.
when I was an All-Star that year. Mentioned those two. Yeah, I mean, after that, I mean, I had great managers. I just think like the years didn't match up. As when I was at Quebec, Pete LaForest, he was such a great manager, great guy. But I wish I would have just had like a better, season. I had a couple injuries
Yeah.
and coming off, getting released by the Orioles, I just wasn't in the right headspace. I wish I was with for a manager like that, just to really get that, um, you know, experience. But yeah, I would say I've kind of mentioned the guys that were
Yeah.
probably the most influential so far.
Okay. What was your diet like during your career? And then how does someone, if you were dialed in, you don't have to be, but if you were, what are, I mean, it's tough to make those, to be dialed in diet wise on like a minor league, salary and making those choices when you're on road trips and stuff like that. How did you make it work?
Yeah, I mean, I I found it as damn near impossible to have
Yeah.
any sort of diet in the minor leagues. Honestly, I would post every now and then. I'll post a side by side picture of me in 2012 coming in the season. I'd show up to spring training about 225 to 230 pounds of like solid muscle and feeling good. And then the last game of the season, I think I was 191 pounds, and it looked like the jersey was like
Hanging off
just
you?
melting on. Yeah, it was like melted on me, and I just looked dead. And that's honestly, it's a combination of a long season, but also the diet, man. I mean, there's zero chance unless, yeah. I mean, you got to fund the whole thing, you got to plan the whole thing out, and mentally, you're just trying to focus on your game. And I don't honestly diet back then. Diet and training in general was just so bizarre to think how much different it is nowadays.
Yeah.
Trainers didn't even take diet particularly important. They would slap, Wonder Bread and freaking peanut butter in front of you and every single day. And so what
Right.
are like thinking back now, this is, you're in your young 20s, you're in the peak of your like athletic life, and
Yeah.
they feed you this dog crap every day. And
That's what as you can see, my logo behind me is a piece of bread.
yeah,
Can you make that
there you
out?
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yep, yeah.
Okay. Then how did you train in season? Or were you still able to work out in season, or did you shy away from that, or what'd you do there?
No, I tried to. I was a gym rat my whole life, up until pretty much COVID hit, and I had my daughter, and I was working two jobs. So before that, I mean, even throughout my baseball career, I was a gym rat. So, going to the gym almost every day was a necessity for me.
Yeah.
So, when I was in indie ball, it was pretty much, I'll go in the gym in the mornings and then come to the field
Yeah.
and do my thing. But when I was with the Orioles, um, they're very stingent on you had to do their workout plan, and
I remember that story.
especially, yeah, and it was so frustrating because they didn't even have the equipment to do full workouts, and it was detraining myself so much, especially coming from Mount Olive.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would sneak away at the gym at like midnight and get my workouts in because I thought people were following me and watching me. So I was just, yeah, and so no, I
Covert
was,
workouts.
yeah, I
That's
made
great.
sure I got my workouts in. Granted, they probably weren't, now looking at where training's gone and how, I take mobility more important now that I'm 38 versus back
Right.
then. I just wanted to be strong and ready.
Yeah.
I wish I would have taken mobility more into account back then, and I would have
Yeah.
adjusted to the workouts accordingly, but it is what it is.
For sure. Now, obviously, you were this workhorse, weight room guy. Those Mount Olive workouts were legend. Were you doing any mental training during your career, or getting down that road at all?
No, I wouldn't say mental training. Um, no, I didn't really. I was one that would swim in my own thoughts all the time.
Me
I
too.
would have yeah, it's most baseball players, but my brother was usually the first person I would call to kind of straighten me out.
Okay.
Um, at least give me, some sense of confidence back in myself when I felt like I lost all of it. But
Yeah.
I never really done mental training. I've tried, taking notes and stuff and be able to reflect back, but sometimes those notebooks became insane with too many thoughts. And now I'm like, yeah. And I hated reading it because I'm like,
Throw
why are
this
you,
away. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, why are you writing so much stuff down? Like, yeah.
Okay. If you could have, obviously, every ball player looks back on their career and they see the mistakes that they made and crossroads here and there. If you could have one do over from your career, what would it be?
um, I would say probably looking to it. See, going back to it, it's tough because I would say I wish I could have got out of Stony Brook earlier.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I think I learned a lot about myself through that experience. So, and I
Sure.
think the way I handle things nowadays is because of experiences like
Going through
that.
that experience. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's tough to say that. I mean, as far as like choices wise, some things I would wish I went back to. There's times I played through injuries that I shouldn't have. If I
Mhm.
would have taken a week off, I would have probably been fine, but I tried to play through it and only got worse. I had a hamstring injury after I got released from the Orioles. I was in Trois Rivières and I slept the wrong way on a 13-hour bus ride and my hamstring hurt so bad and I couldn't run. And I just tried to pretend I could for the
Yeah.
next 2 months and it never felt better.
Yeah.
And I never told anyone. And it obviously affected my performance. And I wish I
Yeah.
would have just like been like, hey, I just hurt myself on this bus ride, you
Yeah.
know? So like little stuff like that, I wish I would have been smarter
Sure.
at. But when you're in that position where you feel like every day matters, it's tough.
Okay. I'm going to go on a little rant here, and then I want you to just run with it if you can. The more I've done this podcast and I have guys on and I hear their stories about, little twists and turns in their career and whatnot, I realize how many things need to fall in place, even for the most talented player to make it to the show. Timing, a coach likes you, someone gets hurt, you capitalize on an opportunity, someone gets traded, a rover likes you, a million different things, right? It's like you have to roll seven in craps like 100 times in a row to get to the show. Do you have any thoughts on this, or can you speak to this, or does this bring up anything to you?
I 100% agree. And I think a lot of stuff in life is like that. It's not
Mhm.
just baseball. I mean, all we could do is just is literally do the best you can with the information you're given at the time.
Yeah.
And I honestly think every step of the way for me, that's what I tried to do is do that. You know, um, obviously in my career, I wish things could have panned out differently. Maybe if there was a bigger hole in my position in the outfield, maybe
Yeah.
been treated different, or if I got drafted by a different team, who knows? But
Right.
it doesn't matter. All that stuff's out of my control anyway. So, my thoughts on that. Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. That's why not many people make it there. That's why you'll always run into people. You're like, how the hell did he not make it?
Yeah.
Because it happens everywhere. And it's because of that reason that, you just have to be in the right place at the right time. But yeah, I mean, as far as myself, I'm content with it not working out the way, going out to the big leagues. Obviously, we all wish we could have just at least tried it and see what it was like. But at the same time, I don't have any regrets. And anything that I wish could have gone differently was mostly out of my control anyway. So,
Oh man, beautifully put, my friend. And there's so many people from my career I can look back on and think, this guy was so wildly talented. How did he not make it past, high A or double A? Or it's just it's a brutally tough game to make it all the way to the top, man. And yeah, well said. With respect to the locker room, obviously I played as well. Are there any funny locker room pranks or things that happened during your career that you can share that are shareable?
that's very important to say. Oh man.
Usually the answer is no.
Well, I had, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of funny ones. I think I might have mentioned before with Will Startup with like the drug testing cups. Like he would
Oh
always
yeah,
fill
were
a
you
cup with
spilling into
warm.
people? That was
Yeah,
fantastic.
he would
Yeah.
just run into people with a warm cup of water. That
And
that
he
was
ran with that too. I posted that on Instagram, and he picked it up and ran with it. He thought it was
yeah.
funny too. So shout out to him.
A crazy story, not really funny, but uh, we had Trent Mummy. I don't know if I told this story. He Yeah, he ended up getting a bad concussion in the first couple weeks of the season. I was down in Sarasota for extended spring training, and he was out for like a month. They sent him back home because like he was out for I don't know how many minutes on the field, but his concussion was so bad, light was affecting him. He'd get nauseous and stuff and dizzy when he'd see light. So he went home, basically sat in a dark room for almost a month. But then he ended up recovering, coming back down to extended spring training. I remember running into him. I think he was a 6th-round pick back in 2010. Out of Auburn. But yeah, I was like, hey man, how's recovery going? Dude, it was so scary. I'm just happy to be back. It feels good to, kind of be back in the, back at the facility and getting to it. I'm like, oh, it's good to have you, man. And then he walked away and I was there next to the trainer and I was like, man, Trent looks good. I was expecting something worse. He's like, oh, he looks good. I was like, yeah. And he pointed around the room and there was 7 coffee cups all filled up because he kept filling up coffee cups and forgetting he was putting it down. I was like,
No.
oh no. I was like,
Oh, man.
he's got a little bit of work to do. But that was like, it was scary. But luckily, he ended up being able to get back and play. But yeah, that was like his first day back, just leaving coffee cups around the room. And I was like, oh, this concussion protocol is pretty serious.
Oh boy. Okay. I've been
And
there too,
I don't know
man.
if I probably told the story of Dontrell Willis too. I know we had some, but yeah, Dontrell Willis was my locker neighbor my last year in spring training. They kind of signed him to a 1-year minor league deal.
Yeah.
But then him and Adam Greenberg were there, and they were like minor league teammates with the Marlins. Greenberg's like the kid that wore one off the head his first pitch in the majors, and
Yeah.
then ended his career. Yeah. Well,
I
he's
remember that
worked
story.
his way back up, and
Yeah.
he signed a minor league contract with the Orioles. But just listen to Dontrell Willis, talk in the locker room was just hilarious to me because I always pictured him pitching like in the World Series with the messed up teeth and this cool windup and everything. Now he has
Yeah.
perfect teeth. like all this like nice shiny stuff on him. Obviously, well established big leaguer, and
Right. Yeah.
just hearing him talk, like, yo, bro, I was watching Cops last night. Yo, that shit's crazy, bro. I'm like thinking in my head, like, this is not what I pictured. Like John Travolta was talking, like, but it was, yeah, just hearing him every day was funny. He always had these little stories and stuff he was telling.
And what a unique career that guy had, from being like the top of the mountain very early in your career to things not quite going how you would expect. And then really like one of the good guys of baseball from what I think I know, like beloved everywhere he goes, a great teammate, good guy. Would you
100%
agree with that?
Yeah. Super good dude. Yeah. It's just like I said, as far as matching up mannerisms and voice and how they, talk, it's just, I had something else in my mind for some reason. And, but it's cool seeing those guys too, just kind of off the field, being even locker mates with Manny Machado when he was 17 years old.
Yeah.
Just thinking of him, like he was out of high school and, I was 22 just coming out of college and just having those conversations, like a 22 and a 17-year-old and thinking this guy is, future Hall of Famer. And I'm just sitting there chilling with him. And,
you never know.
I wish I could go back and see what the heck we were talking about back then. But,
right.
But yeah, so been some rides throughout the career.
Oh, for sure, man. As a player, looking back now, what are you most proud of from your career?
I think I always put the work in. I don't have any regrets of saying I could have done more.
Yeah.
Like I said, I did the best with the information I was given at the time, and I'm proud of myself for doing exactly that. With guys that went through what I did at Stony Brook in college, sometimes that deters them to get away from baseball and find something else. But, I was the one that was at the field ordering Chinese food delivered to the field after I just finished hitting 9 buckets of baseballs by myself. I'd have some teammates that try to like keep up with me and be like, oh, I want to train with you because I'm not playing either. But then, they show up half the time I'm there. I was always the first one there, last one to leave kind of guy. So that part I always pride myself in.
Feel good about that. Love that. And then I always ask guys this, but it's going to be less interesting with you because you're still playing. But do you still consider yourself a baseball player?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. If I didn't, I wouldn't be playing. So, yeah. I love it.
Do you ever have baseball dreams? Like when you go to sleep, like do you dream in baseball or have dreams? Or if yes, tell me about it.
Yeah. And most of it's a reoccurring one. Well, most of my career is the same dumb dream I always hated, and it makes me anxious. But yeah, it's always I'm in the clubhouse looking for my batting gloves.
Can't find them?
Can't find them.
Why is it always like you're late for something and you can't find it and you're scrambling? It's always that,
late
right?
for something. And
always that.
I would scratch and claw, and then I'd grab a bat, but the bat's tiny and it's not my bat. And I'm like, anything I'm missing a cleat. So I try to get my cleat on, and I realize I don't have the right jersey on. I can't find my jersey. Like it's just, and they're announcing, Jeremy, you're up the bat. And I just wake up in a full panic. And oh my gosh, that's like such a reoccurring dream for me throughout my life. And what's funny? Not really funny, but my first world record attempt with the Bat Bros, we were going to Victor, Colorado, which was a 2.5-hour drive from Denver. And I'm living in Buffalo. My connection flight happens to be in Charlotte, which is near where I live now. But I flew to Charlotte. This is my first big collab with any big YouTuber, right? So I'm stoked. But this goes right back. This is the first time in real life I felt like I was living that horrible nightmare. But I flew to Charlotte, and then they delayed, canceled my flight. So the owner, Stinger Brandon, let me stay at his house overnight. Stayed at his house, got booked the next morning. Now, this is the morning where we had 1 day to film in Victor, Colorado. So they're starting filming, at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I had an early flight that morning had to fly out to Denver. By the time I landed, they were already an hour and a half in the filming, but I still have a 2.5-hour drive to get there. Yeah. So they rented a car for me. The Bat Bros did. So I go to the car rental spot. It's the longest line ever. There's one person working there. It took me 2 hours to get my car.
Oh my God.
So, and it was just the constant like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. By the time I showed up, everyone's almost cooked from hitting so much.
Yeah.
It started raining. Like I showed up to the field. Everyone's like on, I think it was 4:00 in the afternoon. There's only a couple hours left of daylight.
Yeah.
So I had no warm ups. They basically came back out to the field from eating just to throw batting practice to me. And yeah, it was, and I only had, I think, like one long round or two rounds. And
Yeah.
I ended up, I think I won like 538 or something like that. But it was something in my mind, that whole day and a half of feeling like I'm never going to make it there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I told Brandon that night with Stinger, I told my wife, I was just, this is my worst nightmare right now happening, that I can't get that bat in my hand, and I can't get to that plate, and everything is fighting me to get there.
This is my nightmare. Are you giving me anxiety telling me this story, my brother?
Yeah.
Golly. Okay. That's it. So that's the story behind that experience. That's kind of fascinating.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, brother, we are at the end here. I got one final question for you, and I'm so glad we finally got to get this third session in here. If you could sit for one inning with 22-year-old Jeremy in Aberdeen, what would you tell him?
I would. It's funny because it'd all be hitting advice. It would all be hitting advice because, honestly, because I think mentally I was fine. Like, I think mentally as a ball player, I was fine. I was just lost as far as how to approach myself in approaching in the game. And what was going to get me to the show was my hitting, right? So, so yeah, if I were to go back in time and I would sit just like I would with anyone, if you put me in a college field, if I go back to Mount Olive and sit with a hitter that's struggling or anything, it's the same rhythm and timing advice. I would tell, I would have him stand, I would have myself stand in front of me and be like, load and get ready to swing. And then I'd break apart where they're loading to, where they feel the strongest, myself, obviously, where I'd feel the strongest. I'd say, you could do this every single time before he lets go of the ball. Get here before he lets go of the ball, and you're loading to see the pitch out of the hand. You're not loading to swing. You're loading to see the pitch out of the hand. And if I explain that to myself at 22 years old, because I didn't even hear that for another 2 years later from Mike Bollinger, but yeah, I think it would be one conversation about hitting, rhythm and timing, and make sure I go on my way understanding that. And because, like I said, the rest of it just falls into place mechanically, and everything just, when the rhythm and timing was good, when I was even 18 years old, the swing was great. But I didn't understand rhythm and timing, so most of my swings weren't that great, in my opinion. So
that's fascinating. That's the first time someone has gone to mechanics when I asked that question. That is absolutely fascinating. And dude, your whole story is fascinating. Just from your career at Stony Brook, how things were, kind of wonky there, to being rediscovered at Mount Olive, to a really interesting affiliated career that didn't quite, you had some shitty hitting coaches, and the organization didn't value you after an all-star year. It makes no sense. A little bit of indie ball, and then you've done your Swingman empire, you've done your long drive stuff. It's just fascinating, dude. It's so cool to watch you have carved out this really cool path, and I'm a huge fan. So this has been cool for me to sit down and chop it up with you. And I hope, I'd like to consider you a friend now too. So thank you for giving me some of your time and telling the world your story. And if you've got nothing, is there anything that you want to say before we get out of here?
Sorry, I just got to show you this. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, hey there. Hey, guys. Like, Dad, here, Dad, let's go.
No, I honestly, I truly appreciate this podcast. I think you're doing a great job. I think,
thanks, brother.
You keep this up. You have great questions lined up. You do your research.
Thank you.
It's amazing, to be able to talk these experiences, and going back to your ability to kind of have me watch other people I'm talking about give their perspective on things was such a cool experience as well. I appreciate this. And as far as moving forward, for anyone out there, I mean, my message for anything, enjoy it while it's there. It's easy for us baseball players to get wrapped up in what's going on then. You might not be hitting well or playing well, and it might be feeling like the end of the world every day. But I promise every baseball player that's never the case. If you're, a high schooler or college kid, especially the way transfer portals are and everything, um, you're one environment away of getting your stuff together and making baseball fun. So no, I mean, like I
Oh,
said,
man.
have fun with the game and enjoy every day while you get it.
Beautifully put. And that's going to be the name of the episode, I think. Enjoy it while it's there. That was just chef's kiss. So this is going to be part 3 of the Swingman story. Post game spread. Blake Helm, we're out of here. Thank you so much for your time, man. This was absolutely amazing. I had a ball. Here we go.
Appreciate it, Blake.
All right.